Hello everybody, this is Doll Dazzler and welcome to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be sharing with you guys some three-dimensional nail art. And for those of you that are my subscribers or somebody that's just viewing my channel for the first time and don't know what three-dimensional nail art is, it's designs and objects that are created onto an artificial nail, usually done on an artificial nail so that it sticks well, using acrylic. And there's a couple of ways that you can do it. You can do it with the actual colored acrylic, or you can do it with regular acrylic and then paint it. So I have selected to go ahead and do the colored acrylic today. And I started out a little bit so that this video would not take so long, because three-dimensional nail art can get rather lengthy. It takes a little bit of time to get it to dry in between each process, and so I thought I would leave the last of this particular nail for the video. So I first started out doing just a regular French manicure done in French pink. And then on my ring finger, I sectioned off just the corner and painted that black. Then I started doing some three-dimensional flowers with that colored acrylic. And in the center of those flowers, you can see that I've added some rhinestones. I have also added some of the leafing as well. And then I have this area that's right down in here, and that's where I'm going to add the last flower. So I'm going to kind of explain to you what I'm doing as I'm doing it, and I'm hoping that you guys will be able to see what I'm doing. I'm trying to get the camera as close as I possibly can. I'm just going to grab a little bit of this red acrylic. You can see that that ball it's awfully large to start out with, so I'm going to try to get a little bit off of there and then bring it onto the nail and make just a little dot. And as the acrylic sits on the nail, it's going to expand a little bit so that I can create the edge of the flower. It will do this naturally because most acrylic is self-leveling. So I'm just going to try to push it into place. I'm kind of pushing at an angle so that it pushes the outer edge up a little bit, and that helps create that petal look. Flattening it down a little bit as I go and then pushing it down. And I'm going to need to add just a tiny bit of liquid to this, not a lot, just so that I have a little bit more mobility with it. And then I'm going to bring it on down onto the base of the nail. Keep pushing it up a little bit, and you can see that petal is starting to take place. I'm going to also see if I can get this camera just a little bit for you guys and see if that helps a little bit. This stuff is so small, but I really wanted to share this with you because it's really, really neat. Alright, so that first one is good to go. I'm going to push on it here with my little dot maker just to make sure that it keeps its shape. And it's kind of bled off a little bit, but it's not going to matter because the other petals are going to go right next to it. So again, I'm going to grab just a little bit of that red, trying not to get so much this time. And I'm going to stick it quite a ways away from that last one, as far as I can get it away and still have it look like a flower. So you can see that it's self-leveling already, and then I'm going to push on it a little bit, trying to get a little bit more of that liquid right in the center of it. And I'm going to push it up, and you can see now that it's starting to build up on itself, and pull it down. So now it has kind of like a little ridge at the back, and I'm going to leave it that way. And I might need to grab just a little bit more liquid. I gotta have a little bit more drying time, just to mess with it just a little bit more. That looks a lot better. So now you can see that it's built up a little bit more. I'm hoping that you guys are able to check this out. I hope it's close enough for you. I'm gonna see if I can get just a little bit closer. Maybe that will help just a little bit. Let me push this back this way. So you can kind of see how those edges stick up on the petals. So now I'm going to go ahead and grab another one. This one's a little bit bigger, but I'm going to go in the shape of the flower. And it's going to start to settle on there. I'm just going to kind of push it into place. And I'm hoping that you guys are being able to see this. Let's see if I can. It's kind of hard because it's so little. But I think that you're getting the idea. And for this one, I'm going to push a little bit with my dot maker just to make sure that it's pushing into place. Get this one out just a little bit too, because I'm going to go ahead and add another layer in here as well. So I'm hoping that you guys can see that. All right, I'm going to add another petal. This time I'm going to come over to this side, right next to that leaf. It's not going to matter if it touches it. It's all three-dimensional, so it will rest on top of it if it has to. I need to add just a little bit more on there. I want you guys to be able to see this. It's a little hard trying to get in the camera. I'm just going to push it into place and pull on it. You can kind of see that that petal is taking place now. Pushing it. It takes a little bit of time to get familiar with how acrylic dries. So the first couple of times it might not go exactly like you like it, but the more practice that you do with this, the better that it will get. It's best to use as little product as possible, liquid and powder, when you're first starting out. That way it will allow you a little bit more. If you need to add more, you always can. Subtracting away from this is a little bit hard. Once it's on the nail, it is on the nail. So, and after it's dried. So, I'm not even in the camera, I'm so sorry. And we'll see if we can get that make a petal shape. Bringing it in. So you can kind of see the outside petals now. They're all the way around. Okay. And again, on this one, I'm going to take my dot maker and try to push that one into place as well. There are lots of ways to do flowers. When you're just doing one flower on the nail, it is much, much easier because you can utilize the brush differently and kind of pat the brush into place, or pat the petal into place. But since these are so little and I've added so many flowers, I had to make it really, really small. So now I'm going to grab something right fast and see if I can maybe get my camera to get a little bit closer in for you guys. Let's see. I don't know if that helps at all. And so now I'm just going to add 1 or 2 petals on the inside. And this is where it can get kind of tricky because it can kind of bleed into the other petals. So you want to make sure that you are using kind of a little bit drier ball and that it sticks up a lot. Now this one's probably going to start to bleed into the other ones too much, but I'm going to try to control it with my dot maker. So I'm going to keep it in the center there for just a second and I'm going to let it dry. I mean, I could leave it there if I wanted to, just to have that kind of a flower, but what I want to do is I want to build so that I can put a rhinestone in the center. And so I'm just lifting up, upwards. Not necessarily out, more up. And acrylic builds really nicely, so you won't have trouble with it after it starts to dry a little bit. Even this one's starting to get a little bit sticky. So I'm lifting it up, and then I'm going to get a little bit of help from my dot maker. And you can see how it's coming along, hopefully from the side. And then I'll bring it a little bit closer for you guys so you can kind of get an idea. Just like that. You can see how that builds. It's kind of blurry. There we go. Maybe if I tilt it real slow, you guys can get an idea. So you can see how that's building up on the nail. And then I'm going to do a couple of more of those. And then there's a rhinestone that's going to go in the center. And I think that I'm going to try to do 2, but I think that I might only get 1 in there because this area is so small. Let me get my finger in there so you guys can see. Hopefully I've had my finger in the camera the entire time. It's hard to pay attention to the camera and my finger at the same time. So this one is going to try to overtake that other petal, so I need to bring it up. Try to get rid of some of that extra liquid that's already on there. You can also make the petals off of the nail and then put them on after they have hardened with tweezers. And I might show that in another video for you guys. So now it's starting to dry a little bit. I'm going to use my dot maker. Hopefully I can get it into place before it gets real dry. Kind of curve it around a little bit, get it away from that last petal, and lift it up. And you're not even in there. There we go. And lift it up a little bit, keeping it away from those other petals. So you can kind of see now by lifting it up. It's almost kind of like a rose, but I'm not meaning to make a rose. I will do a rose in another tutorial. I have a much easier way to make roses. So now there's a center for that rhinestone, and I like to put the rhinestone in right away. That way it will harden in with the acrylic. It's already started to dry in there, so I'm going to get the I'm going to add just a tiny bit of polish, clear polish, and then the rhinestone. See if I can get a hold of it. And it's going to go right in the center, just like that. So let's see if I can get a good angle on that for you guys. And then I'm going to also add some more leaves, and you guys can see how those are done. And because I have this little blank space right here, and I'm going to add that. I'm going to add a leaf there. Clean this brush off. Red is probably the worst color. It has a tendency to stain. So got to clean your brush off really good. Again, you're just going to use this like a little dot. You're going to put it as close to that edge of the flower without touching it. It's going to do the same thing where it's going to self-level, and I'm going to let it do it all on its own. And I'm going to take this one out this way. Just pull slightly on the edge there, and it helps create the point of that leaf. And I'm using a I don't know if I showed you the brush, guys. So I'm using just a really small brush. Sometimes I do nail art with this, and smaller. So I don't know, can you guys see that? There we go. So now that it's started to dry, I'm going to use my dot maker, and the dot maker has a really small size on it as well. So this is the bigger end. I'm going to be using this end. It's way smaller, and I'm going to push push out in the center and push out, and that helps keep it three-dimensional off the nail. And this stuff stays on your nail really, really well. And when I mean on a nail, it's it stays on better on an artificial nail. Natural nails, they contain, or they have a lot of oils on them, so even getting polish to stick on them is sometimes difficult, and that's why they've come up with all these new polishes that, you know, the gel polish and all of that, those stay on the nail a lot better. I'm going to do one more leaf on this side, so I'm going to grab just another little tiny bit. And it looks like that. I'm trying to keep my finger in the video. I'm going to lay it on there. Excuse me. I'm going to try not to touch the other stuff because it's going to naturally go into, it's going to self-level into the other one. So I'm going to pull on it. And then as it dries, I'm going to go into the center and push out. And it's going to cause it to do a little bit of, it's going to push it out and make the outside edges a little bit rounded. And then I'm going to come in with my dot maker. And I'm going to see if I can get, maybe if I push these out a little bit, I can get back into the camera a little bit better for you guys. And I'm just going to push this and bring it to the point. Trying to keep some of the color at the base of it and in the center as well, because you don't want it all to go away. And I don't know if you guys are being able to see that or not. I do need a little bit more liquid in there because it started to separate. Let's get a little bit more liquid in there, and that'll help blend it back in. Try to keep it away from that other flower too. And I might have to see if I can turn the camera back up like that. That's a little bit more helpful. Alright, so that looks like the leaves on that side. Let's see if I can bring it this way so you guys can see. Okay. And then I'm going to add some more leafing on this other side as well. Probably just, oh, maybe right here. I'll add a little tiny one. So it's going to look like that. I'm just going to put it right there. And I might not do a whole lot with that one. I might just let it sit. Depending on how big the ball gets. Because it's self-leveling, it can get rather large. Yeah, I'm going to have to push on it just a tiny bit. Alright. Alright, there it is on that side. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 flowers on there. I don't really have room for another one. I think what I might do is I might just do one more leaf right here, since I have a little bit of open space and it looks kind of blank there. And I'm going to throw another leaf in there. Again, very small ball. And it's going to self-level. Now if I wanted to, I could pull this right up off of the nail and create what's called fantasy nail art, which is nail art that comes right off, and leave it that way. But I prefer not to do that unless I'm like, if I'm going to do a nail art contest or something of that nature, to show that off, because this has a tendency to get stuck in your hair. So I don't really want to have any of that art today. And then I just brought it off to the edge, just like that. All right. So this is the three-dimensional flowers, three-dimensional nail art. If you guys like this tutorial and you like 3D nail art, please like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.